Hello, hello, hello. Antphrodite here, your pop culture psychic, back to you again with another reading. This time it's on the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I'm sure everyone by now has seen the news. I'm not going to go super into it. I did see the video of what happened against my will by just opening up social media. It's very gruesome. I'd advise you to not look at it. So the FBI, I believe it was, as of me filming this, it is 1:51 p.m. CST on 9/11. They have released a picture of the alleged suspect. And so I'm just going to do a reading on the situation. I want to know what's going to happen from the fallout of this and, anything else I can get. You guys have tagged me in this a million times, so by high request, I'm going to see what I can do to help figure out what's going to heal our country, because we are definitely shattered. If you haven't seen my last reading that I did 2 weeks ago on gun reform, I'll put a link to it up here. It has more relevance now than ever before, so you might want to check that out. It was 2 weeks ago, especially if you're interested in what's going to happen with like the rules and laws against guns and stuff like that. So remember, these readings all legit for interpreters only, and let's get started. If you guys like this, make sure you join the YouTube members. Yeah, there's a link down below. Okay. All right. Charlie. Who did it and why? They thought he was a bad person. It's that simple. So, Charlie is the Tower reversed. The Tower reversed makes sense. A lot of the things that he was popular for on the internet were kind of like saying things and it would like get a reaction out of the audience, right? Like debating. So the Tower reverse is like rage baiting. It's like, stirring the pot, right? So it kind of makes sense that that's what he's showing up as here. What's interesting about the Tower reverse is it's also like rebuilding. So there's something about Charlie. This person felt like Charlie destroyed something and was causing them to have to rebuild or redo something. There's something about the destruction. They feel like he was either a part of a movement or directly, allegedly for interpreters only. There's this feeling of like you destroyed something. So I'm not exactly going to be able to pinpoint 100% what that is, but hopefully I can give you a little bit of information. Now, the person who did this is represented as the Seven of Pentacles reverse, which is like out of my element or out of my comfort zone, which means they were pulled out of something. So something of theirs was lost, destroyed. It could even be a loss of income. I don't know what it is, but there's a feeling of like there's a loss. There's some form of like, I'm not comfortable anymore. I'm not allowed to be comfortable anymore. I feel uncomfortable. I've been pulled out of my comfort. I've been removed from something, or something has been removed from me, and I'm upset about that. That's what that means. And the Knight of Swords is reversed, which is the motivation here, which is about impure intentions. That's also about like not getting the help that I wanted or removing the help that I needed. There's a message here of like separation there. It's also about them feeling like he was a bad person. So think of that as like you got help from things and you want to remove help from me. Like that's the type of energy. It's just like they think that he's a bad person. So the Star is upright. The Two of Cups is reversed. And the Ten of Wands is reversed. Wanting to make a public statement. The Star is the public and a celebrity figure. That makes sense. The Ten of Wands is like you're a burden on society. I want to release you. And the Two of Cups is like I want to separate you from everything because you've separated me from everything. There's that feeling. There's also there's a dehumanization. Let me look at the Two of Cups reversed. The Sun is reversed. So the Sun is like unhappiness, right? The Fool is about maturing, and the Two of Swords is about a separation. I can't quite figure this out. And I've never really done a reading on something like this, right? An assassination or something like this. Like that, I've never done a reading like this. So I'm going to have to look back at this reading in a couple of weeks and see if I can figure out exactly what this means. So I apologize. Although I am really good at what I'm doing, stuff like this, I'm still always learning. And I'm not exactly sure what this is going to mean. But I can tell you what the cards typically are alluding to. So we'll see how it fits in this instance, because they do shape and change based on the situation you're reading, which is why I always tell people I need a question, because it'll shape based on that. But learning lesson for you and me. Sun would be about unhappiness, right? But it's also relationships. The Two of Cups is a relationship as well, right? And the Fool is like a mature energy. It could also be child, but maturing, or a conscious decision, right? And the Two of Swords is a separation. There's something to do with wanting to separate relationships, or sever a relationship, or sever children. Something about severing children from families, or him from his family, or him from his wife, or wives from. There's something to do with that as well in here that I can't quite pinpoint and figure out. So I'm going to look back at this reading and see if I can maybe analyze this again and figure out what exactly that means, because as of right now, it makes no sense to me. Perhaps it's like a policy or something. I don't know. I can't quite figure, unless it's personal, but then that's also strange, right? Because how is that going to fit? So I'll be interested to look at this in the future. The Nine of Cups, the Queen of Cups, and the Magician. There's this feeling of, so Magician is communication. I mean, we know that whoever did this didn't want him to have a voice anymore, right? That makes sense. That's a magician. I'm wondering what his wife is going to do. Was she into politics before this? I mean, I guess the Queen of Cups could just symbolize empathy as well. But there's a new talking point. I wonder if they're going to make a new law. Like the Charlie Kirk law or something. I'm wondering if they're going to try and do something with this, or create a movement, or a group of people or something. There's something they're trying to manifest through his name. Think of that as like when someone donates in your name, but on a larger scale. So like the Charlie Kirk movement, like there's something there. Uh-oh. Okay. So things are going to get religious really quickly. That's a separation of church and state. And these are regrets. There's going to be a religious war tied to this. Religion is going to play a large factor in this. The rules, the laws, things like that. It feels like there's going to be a large focus on religious belief systems, and where and when, how, I know there's been changes recently in, like, I think Texas had it so that you have to put like the 10 Commandments up in your public schools now, or something wild like that. And we're going to start to see more things like that. This is going to push a lot of religious discourse. That's what the Devil card is, because that's like Burn the Witch, right? So it's like the Salem witch trials. So to me, it's about indicating conversations about that. I mean, as a person who is not religious, obviously, I'm a psychic, I'm spiritual, that scares me, I'm not gonna lie. Knight of Pentacles is reversed, the Seven of Cups is reversed, and the Eight of Swords is reversed. Eight of Swords is a victim of circumstance. when it's reversed. Seven of Cups is about having to be dealt a hand of realism. Knight of Pentacles. Oh. You're going to start to see stricter monetization features for not only political influencers, but any sort of rage bait. This is going to have repercussions towards monetization features on social media platforms when it comes to things that are rage bait or could be considered rage bait. So emotion farming, anything like that, getting a reaction out of people, this is going to start to demonetize things like that. You're going to slowly start to see this being implemented little by little, starting with politics. Little by little, we are going to start to see mass demonetization of people who do things like this. It is going to be a cultural conversation. This is the very beginning. I wouldn't be shocked if more things are going to happen that's going to make people more conscious of rage baiting. As someone that's really infuriated by rage baiting, because I feel like it's the only way for anyone to look at your stuff now. I'm not shocked to see this. I am a little shocked to see it come from Charlie Kirk, but the situation. But yeah, we're going to start to see demonetization. We're going to start to see people be deplatformed at large as well. The Ten of Pentacles, the Death card, and the Knight of Pentacles, you're going to start to see deplatforming. You're going to start to see demonetization. It is a little bit like a witch hunt, but to me, it has to do with following a very strict rule set. I think it's because the government is probably going to try to go after the social media conglomerates, whatever the word is, the people that own social medias and stuff like that. And rather than deal with the headache of the litigation, even if they feel like it's not fair, they're going to just, concede or give in to those things. So monetization on platforms are going to be changing. A lot of people are going to be struggling to monetize their content. This is a little worrisome, especially for me as a content creator, but you've heard this here first. So try to adjust your content style and try to diversify while you still can. The Ten of Pentacles, the Death card, and the Knight of Pentacles is, again, a death to being able to monetize certain things, long form, money-wise, and things of that nature. We're also going to see changes to short form content. I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to start to... There's something to do with short form content being focused on. Maybe they're going to require things to be longer to be monetized. I'm not sure. Something about short form, low effort content. I can't figure that out. But and again, we're also seeing this is also like the witch hunt of certain influencers and stuff that are going to be targeted. So I do think that certain influencers are going to either adjust or be deplatformed. That's it. And there is going to be certain influencers that they are going to pinpoint. I do see that. Basically, it feels like the internet was like chaos and anarchy, whatever you want to call it, and they're going to start to reel it in. I'm not shocked. I've been seeing this for years. I told you anonymity was going to be removed from the internet like 5-6 years ago. Every time I see it, and it's happening. And so they're going to start to specifically... I know a lot of people are going to feel like it's censorship. That's not for me to decide. You know, I'm not in charge. Some people feel that way. Some people won't, right? But they're not, the thing is that when it comes to deplatforming someone, they're not going to be able to just be like, get out of our space, but they are going to be able to squeeze you out of the space by denying you the ability to monetize. But I will also say that when we look at stuff like this, the situation is complicated. So you are going to be having conversations, and there are going to be litigation processes of what is deemed free speech and what isn't. We are going to be redefining what the word free speech means. This is going to be a process over the next coming years and over the next couple of elections. Free speech is going to be redefined. The Empress is upright, the Queen of Wands reversed, and Three of Swords. I also feel like the voices of women are going to be louder and larger than we realize. So I don't know exactly what that means, but that's what I'm seeing, and it'll be interesting to look back at this. You're going to start to see the rise of a lot of feminine voices, both on the left, the right, the middle, whatever. It doesn't matter. You're going to start to see the rise of a lot of feminine voices. It seems like conquer and divide is less influential than emotion in the next coming years. So they're going to be looking for people who lead with some sort of emotional softness, it doesn't mean that they're vulnerable or weak, but it means that they're not afraid to show their emotions. So, I mean, I guess that could be men too that aren't afraid to show their feminine energy or their emotions. But in the grand scheme of things, it seems like you're going to start to see more people like that. And it's not going to just be, left leaning. It's going to be right leaning people as well, or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's going to be both. And even if you don't like what they say, they're going to have this energy of softness that people are going to resonate with. It's ironic that today, as I'm filming this, is 9/11. For those of you that are around my age and experience that, 9/11 personally affected my family, which I won't go into in this video. And we're still dealing with a lot of repercussions of that in our family. But there was a softness and an emotional sensitivity and a vulnerability in the air that I haven't felt since today and in this reading. So that tells me that society is in a vulnerable place where things are going to start to change. I don't know if it's for better or for worse. Obviously, it's hard to tell, but we are in that same type of energy. I don't know if it has to do with, the planets or whatever, but I can just tell you that this is an energy that is familiar to me from post 9/11 that I haven't felt in a very long time in a reading. So, food for thought. Yeah. Sorry, I get a little emotional when I talk about 9/11. It personally impacted my family, like I said. So and it's actually 9/11, and it's a little triggering sometimes. Yeah, my dad actually worked next door to the towers and watched them get hit. And I don't want to go into it. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Join the YouTube members if you really want to support my content, because I don't know. My brain's not working. I'll see you guys. Bye. We need a miracle.